destroying all the buildings in Ukraine. This is the Russian subjugating of Ukrainians. This is the Russian actions in Ukrainians now. And for that, if many countries just can stand and watch aside, it seems morally wrong. It seems morally untenable. But if I mention that in 1994, when Ukraine had its third largest nuclear power stock in its land, and when Ukraine had promoted peace and security, and when Ukraine have moved into promoting the peace and security in the world by relinquish all that nuclear power stock, by signing Budapest Memorandum of 1994, and instead been given security guarantees by those countries, namely United Kingdom, United States of America, and even Russia, what we see now, would be completely breached that agreement and invaded Ukraine, while the other countries that signed this memorandum have not moving fast enough to preserve Ukrainian lives, to allow Ukrainians be on more steady ground and be able to defend themselves and be able to repel Russian occupiers quicker. This is why it's not only moral obligation, but it's also legal obligation to provide Ukraine with all help, assistance, and everything that Ukraine needs. That's why we always say in simple chant, Ukraine, as you promised.
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 Among other military help that the world should provide to Ukraine by its legal obligation in support of Budapest Memorandum 1994, just for the sake of protecting Ukrainian civilians, it would be illogical to provide enough air defense system to close Ukrainian sky and not allowing Russians indiscriminately shooting civilian objects, power, energy station, and most importantly, blackmailing the world with nuclear power with disaster or firing into blowing up the Zaporizhia biggest nuclear power station. This is another military help that Ukraine is badly needed to close the sky. And that is an air defense for Ukraine. Air defense for Ukraine.
Air defense for Ukraine.
Air defense for Ukraine.
Air defense for Ukraine.
Air defense for Ukraine.
Air defense for Ukraine.
Air defense for Ukraine. Air defense for Ukraine.
Air defense for Ukraine. Air defense.
And we often, among media lines, among the information that we can get from informational sources on the war in Ukraine, we often, for last couple of months, we often hear this sort of, not a blaming, I would say, but in kind of attentional words from the world media saying, well, the counteroffensive in Ukraine, it's not going as we thought. The counteroffensive in Ukraine is not going as fast as we wanted. But one thing I would like to say to that, Ukraine counteroffensive is going. Ukraine counteroffensive is happening. Yes, somebody may want it to be happen faster, but we said it many times. For it to happen faster, Ukraine needs its fifth player to be fully in the game at the same level as its opposite side. And for Ukraine,
Fighter jets for Ukraine! Fighter jets for Ukraine! Fighter jets for Ukraine! F-16 for Ukraine!
F-16 for Ukraine.
F-16 for Ukraine!
On destroying, extinguishing Ukrainian nation happening on Ukrainian territory as we speak, it's a Russian hybrid war against Europe and against West. Against Europe, Russia trying hard with this disinformation, with sharing the lies in order to disintegrate European Union. Because Russia knows as soon as country will be split as one by one, it will be easy for Russia to deal with them, because Russia knows that it will be hard to deal with the bloc of union as 27 countries. Simple as that. Russia working hard to blame NATO. We've seen many people are promoting this silly thing that stop NATO, stop the war. Stop NATO, allow Putin to grab more land. Stop NATO, allow Putin to completely extinguish Ukrainian. But let's not forget one thing. At the moment, in Ukraine, it's only left about 23 million people. From 52 million people back 18 years ago to 23 million people as we speak now. And that numbers are decreasing. Many families that had to go with their kids to search their safety via the humanitarian routes, where their kids in few years will establish their life and will assimilate themselves with those country rules. But most importantly, what I'm driving at is that world must remember it's Russian aim to decrease Ukrainian population so there will be less shield of Ukrainians against Russian imperialistic ambition. Putin will not stop in Ukraine if you allow him to do so. Putin will not be just staying in Ukraine and be a nice kid, so to speak. Putin is the murderer. Putin is the mass killer. Putin criminal syndicate, it's the group of people that are terrorists, that's promoting a terrorist attack, promoting killings, promoting not supporting any international law, breaking Geneva Convention, most importantly, breaking rules that even them ratified themselves, and then denying they did it so. So we're calling for the world to realize that Russia working hard to decrease the Ukrainian shield for them to move further. And as this poster says, I reiterate it many times because I think it's so relevant. Ladies and gentlemen, when last Ukrainian soldier falls, Putin will come for you. World, wake up!
World, wake up! World, wake up! World, wake up! World, wake up! World, wake up! World, wake up! World, wake up!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Нашим захисникам тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Дякую, все буде Україна!
Thank you.